Hello, patrons. It's Monday, July 11th. And this is your Cup of Jones. Hello, everyone. This week's cup brought to you by Hesperus84, who got me this amazing Tree of Life mug, which is based off the center of the Animal Kingdom park, this giant tree called the Tree of Life, which there's all sorts of animals that are carved into it. And so that is what this is inspired by. I actually saw this in a store the last time I was at Animal Kingdom a couple of weeks ago, and eyed it and was like, that is a massive mug. I bet you could put a lot of coffee in there. You can. So I'm going to be drinking lots of coffee today, thank you to Hesperus84, and I'm going to be reading off lots of questions, because I have not done a traditional Cup of Jones episode, although maybe the idea of a traditional Cup of Jones episode might be going out the window soon, because it seems every time I approach producing a Cup of Jones episode, there's different things I want to do, there's different things I want to show all of you, different things I want to focus on, and sometimes the episode you get is the episode that is all I have time for. But really quick, before we get into questions, I want to thank Kaylee Murdoch for having a meet and greet at RTX, which you can see pictures of on her Twitter feed, but you can also see them on our Twitter feed. And that was our very first official meet and greet. That was an official mod in our Twitch forums that was gathering a bunch of people at an event. And sorry, none of the actual allies could be there in attendance, but it was wonderful and heartwarming to see you guys and gals getting together and smiling and having a good time. So I have said I want to get out to RTX for years, and I got to make that happen next year. I read every single comment. I saw just some concern because I don't really engage on Patreon that much, again, because I'm more producing content. Hopefully I can balance that out and get more engaged in an actual text dialogue with all of you back and forth. But I just want you to know that I read every single comment. So if I didn't get to one of your questions in this episode, I read it, and thank you for it, and I will remember it. Even though it doesn't seem like I do. And our forums are much better organized now. Our forums you can find on easyallies.com. A lot of you are going in there and creating wonderful conversations, and it is, again, something I wish I had more time to focus on, but we have people here at Easy Allies that are in charge of that, and hopefully I'll get more time to get more engaged that in the future. But it's wonderful going in there and seeing everybody already engaged in using the forums for what they're supposed to be using, and it seems like there's lots of love in there, and so I hope I will have more time to spend there, but we got to get to questions first. Thank you for watching. There are lots of questions. Are you ready? Here we go. Manuel is not feeling the force right now. Why are you so pumped for those EA Star Wars games? As much as I would love a quality Star Wars title, I don't expect EA to make anything but a couple of quick cash-ins. They certainly haven't set the world on fire with that Battlefront game. Why are you this excited about licensed games by a publisher that has made pretty poor licensed games in the past? That's fair. I probably haven't answered that directly. I'll answer that in two ways. One, because I had no idea what it was going to be about, and that kind of anticipation, regardless of whether I thought the game was actually going to be good or not, was eating at me, because I wanted to know, is this going to line up with Rogue One? Is this going to be Rey jumping around? Is this going to be a new smuggler character? Is this going to be a Han Solo game? Is there going to be flight in this? Like, there's so many questions I have, not because I'm like, oh boy, EA, I can't wait for EA to knock it out of the park again with a licensed title, but there's so many things still within Star Wars that I have never seen, never got to experience. Is this going to be the game that's going to at least attempt that, or is this going to be really in line with a lot of other stuff that we'd seen before? And so seeing that gameplay at E3 was huge, because now a lot of that stuff is starting to fall into place. Seeing the TIE fighters flying overhead and realizing, okay, look at those. Those look, I think they look like classic TIE fighters, although don't quote me on that. But we can start to tell what time period is this, who are we playing as, what is the gameplay going to be like. So there's that. Also, I think EA is realizing that, I think EA is bringing the right people in for the right projects. I think DICE had never made a Battlefront game, so it was frustrating to me that people were comparing it to another Battlefront game made by another publisher. It's like, this is going to be different. This is going to be DICE's Battlefront, and it was DICE's Battlefront for better or worse. I think the better is that it's the best looking Star Wars game ever made, period. Come at me. The bad is that it's very expensive to get an amount of content that should probably be at launch. So those are the issues with Battlefront. But Battlefront is still a very impressive game. I'm playing Galaxy of Heroes right now, which I really, really like. I wish I had time to play Knights of the Old Republic right now, but I don't. There's lots of cool things going on in Star Wars, lots of other great Star Wars mobile games. So Star Wars is actually in a pretty good place right now. The Lego Star Wars game, which I haven't had time to play, apparently is decent. And these are all different companies using the license to do exciting things. And so I think we're hopefully gonna get like a Star Wars renaissance where it's like Star Wars is gonna be a type of franchise where you don't make bad things. Like this has to be good. It has to be on a level of quality amongst everything else, whether it's animated shows, whether it's the films or whatever. I'm taking a long time to answer this one question, but it is Star Wars. So maybe that's where that confidence comes from, seeing what the heck they're going to end up doing, and the trends seem to be pretty good right now for it hopefully to be a quality game. It looks pretty good, but who the heck knows? We only saw 10 seconds of it. Danny Mazzina is concerned, as a patron, please do not gate content. That's interesting, Danny, and everyone else that brought this up. And a lot of people have actually. This was an interesting conversation that popped up that hadn't really popped up before I stopped going and doing crazy E3 episodes of Cup of Jones. And that's that people could possibly not like having video content gated behind our Patreon community. To have Cup of Jones go free out into the world, everyone should get Cup of Jones, which is a beautiful idea, but I don't want to do it. But it fascinates me that that would bother you, and it's a bummer that that would bother you because I definitely want this show to be exclusive for patrons. Probably most specifically, maybe I can touch on this later if ideas pop into my head later on in the show, but this is an investors meeting. You know, that's what I like to consider this. And apologies for not getting this done every week. I don't think I will get Cup of Jones done every week. If that is okay with you, I haven't really got a lot of hate mail. When Cup of Jones is late, people are just like, hey, I'd much rather you got rest or got that review done or got Brandon Plays Pokemon done or did things that we're actually more focused on. And, you know, we can wait a week if you want to get to our questions later. But I really want this message, with me being the one that is controlling the finances of this company, and the finances of this company being largely determined by our Patreon account, and all of you who legally, hopefully, fingers crossed, are supposed to be watching this video, are people that are giving us money. And so I want to talk to you about that. I want to share that adventure with you because you deserve it, because you are giving us money. You are pledging money to this cause. You are joining this conversation specifically on this Patreon thing. That said, because these comments are popping up and because I can sense that emotions are a little sensitive there, and I want to try my best and will probably fail in most respects to try to make everybody happy at the same time, I will never bridge off content if we don't need to. If that's a bummer, if that's something that, you know, because in my mindset, you know, and granted, I haven't spent a ton of time crowdfunding other things, certainly on a regular payment basis, but if I paid for something and I got something exclusively, that would make me really exciting. I personally would find value in that. And so when I find value in something and other people don't, and would actually potentially get upset about, that's a concern. And so that'll be a cold day in hell when we gate anything else other than Cup of Jones. But for $1, you get me rambling and talking about things. And yeah, it might not be a week, but you know, it'll be me from top to bottom. It'll be me cutting it and shooting it and sipping coffee. And it'll be just for you. I want to know that if I'm recording this video, the people that are watching it are my patrons. You're our patrons. Thanks so much. Pascal is confused. Wait a minute, Don's Design Club? Yeah, that was a snafu. There's Don's Discount Gaming and Don's Design Lab. Yeah, we've had lots of different Don show titles. I get tired sometimes. That's what happened. Hooded Atheist is hungry for more now that things are a bit more structured and easy. Is there any chance we might see a return of the bonus bits at the end of shows? They were one of my favorite things about GT. Atheist, you've heard me say this before, so, you know, not to be repetitive, but that's another thing that would work better in an office, because that was, a lot of those were so last minute of just like, hey, who's around? Oh, I was going to get Bloodworth for this, but Bloodworth's, you know, finishing a review or something. Maybe I'll get Jones or maybe I'll get Dawn to do this. So that's how those happened, out of convenience. And that convenience isn't a part of Easy Allies yet, but maybe when we get a space and we get more people inhabiting that space on a regular basis, more stuff like that can pop up and happen. But thank you. I'm happy that you like that. I like shooting that stuff. Steven has a good idea. I would love it if you did some VO work for Did You Know Gaming. I'd love that too. How should we make that happen? Should I bother them on Twitter? I don't want to bother people and be like, hey, I need to get in your stuff. Because that's weird. I don't know, I wonder if that would upset Michael Damiani. Probably not. I mean, I would love that. I would never say no to that. I guess that's the answer. Ben is ready to team up. How would you describe your relationship with the other similar companies in the space like Kinda Funny? How do you view them as a sort of mentor, maybe a template for what you would like to achieve in the future? Have you received advice from them that has helped you with shaping Easy A? And do you find yourself wanting to be more involved in collaboration with KF and other similar groups as a result of those friendly relationships? So let's try to go one by one. Awesome. Yes. 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 I'll get into more detail. Yeah, I love Kind of Funny. I love Funhouse. I love Screw Attack. Let's talk about those. And I love Mega 64, but I don't hang out with those guys nearly as much as I would like. Let's talk about those three people. Kind of Funny, Funhouse, and Screw Attack. I would say with those three people, I would consider the most feelings of family, where I really get along with those people. I really like the stuff that they produce, and I would like to emulate what they're currently doing. Like, they're definitely someone, three entities that I look at and pay very close attention to the stuff that they're doing, because they're all doing it really well. They all have, obviously, they had more numbers when we were back at Game Trailers. They certainly have more numbers than we have now. Specifically, I like the way Funhouse uses YouTube. I like the way they set up their channel. I like the way that Kind of Funny obviously produces these huge events, the way that they've, obviously trailblazed exactly the kind of path that we're doing right now with Patreon. And Screw Attack, I love the way that they handle their community. I've said all of these things before, specifically with Screw Attack. But yes, I want to collaborate more with them. I think another thing you're going to hear me say a lot that I've been thinking about a lot recently is that, we're still not even 6 months into EZA. And so I definitely want to take baby steps during the first full year so we can approach every event, realize how we should do it, how we shouldn't. Like, having E3 come and go, guys, was such a learning experience, because it was like, great, we will do all of that. We will not do any of that. And next year will be fantastic. It'll be even better. And so I'm looking forward to trying a lot of events first. Maybe let a lot of people set up stuff that we could be a part of, as opposed to setting up too much stuff ourselves and burning through our budget. And then next year, maybe we can, do a lot more collaborations and a lot more meet and greets with these people. But I mean, they're so awesome. They all have their own events, so we can just go to their own events and have a wonderful time. Sean has a great suggestion. Have you ever considered having a one-on-one with either one of the allies or a special guest? Perhaps it can be a casual chat over coffee, where the guest can maybe throw out some ideas that they have for future projects, and can reference patron feedback the days following. Sean, I think that's a great idea. That also kind of ties into the abnormal nature of the release schedule for Cup of Jones that I feel all of you should anticipate in the future. You never know when you're going to get a Cup of Jones. You never know what format Cup of Jones is going to be in. Cup of Jones is going to be about me, and it's going to be about running this enterprise, and it's going to be about fun things that are coming up in the future of Easy Allies. It's not going to be the only place for you to find that stuff, but it'll hopefully be unique in that regard, because it is not a cup of Easy Allies, it is a Cup of Jones. And that is a great example of something that, I could bring interesting people in, that I don't feel like I'm missing an opportunity to make really important content that everybody should see. It's like, you just need to know my relationship with this person, be it an ally or be it a special guest, and we can get together and talk and make a fun episode that way. So I don't want to be discouraged from doing a Cup of Jones episode, because I'm like, well, that's not a typical Cup of Jones episode. Nothing has been typical about this entire thing so far, so Cup of Jones should be no different. Brian is getting zoological. What are some of your favorite animals? Obviously, I like dogs, because Sophie is amazing. I like cats. I had cats a lot more before I got a dog. I had a dog growing up in high school. It was my parents' dog. I like smart animals. I like big animals. I like elephants. I like whales. I like gorillas. I like animals that are very close to humans. I like dolphins. I like, animals that have proven to be, octopi, that are extremely intelligent and learning how they relate to each other. But yeah, animals are cool. Great question. Thanks. Cameron is curious, are you planning on giving your thoughts on upcoming indie games? I spend a humongous chunk of my time looking for indie games to play. Ian Hank is your guy. Not to point at every person and be like, racing, talk to Bloodworth. But Ian's really your guy. I tend to hang out in the kids, straight up action, open world, mobile space. So that's me. Upcoming indie games, but here, I'll give you a suggestion. Inside, you probably already played it though, but I hear Inside is amazing. I haven't played it yet, but there you go. There's one suggestion, Inside. That's all I'm good for. Seb has a business question. Do you review everything you get sent? As a relatively new setup, do you have to ask to be sent most things for review? A lot of the contacts that Easy Allies have now are based on contacts that we had previously at Game Trailers, but we still ask for everything. So if something's coming up, we never assume this is going to happen. We always reach out and say, hi, just for a reminder, we're Easy Allies and we would like to review your video game, so please send that to us. And there's no way we would ever review everything that we get sent. It is heartbreaking. It sucks. We've talked about time manipulation on Cup of Jones before. It's something that I want to do. I would love to just absolutely freeze the world when I get a new game in and I go, this is cool. I want to play this. I want to talk to people about this. I want to stream this. I want to full play through this. I want to review it. I want to make a gameplay edit after the review, put that up. I want to have a Cup of Jones just about it. I want to just do everything, but it's just a code. It's got to go in a code folder in my email, and like maybe I'll get around to it, but I just don't have time. Gonzalo has a concern. For convenience, I use Podbean, an app I already had to listen to your podcasts. Does this hurt the allies? Should I be using a specific app or webpage to listen to your podcasts? Don't. You're fine. Don't worry. You're fine. Mark has got an idea. I suppose it's a website suggestion, but a list of reviews to date would be nice. Just a list with title, score, author, link for review. Sometimes I wonder what score a game got. I don't know about score. We've gotten a lot of people upset when we post scores anywhere on the website when they see that before they would click on it. You can go to reviews on the website. At the very top, you see reviews. You click on that, list of reviews. What we should add to that, and I'll bring up with Bloodworth, is author. Maybe not editor, but you should know who wrote the review. So you can maybe check that out if you want to like watch all the bends. Maybe you can sort them by author. That would also be cool. Great ideas that we can maybe implement in the future, but thank you for that. Blaine has a tech question. At what patron level would each ally have their own pro mic like yours for their streams and shows? For instance, Damiani could really use a new mic. That is up to Damiani. We've definitely expensed a lot of equipment before. It's not a problem. People just email me, hey, I'm buying this. Can I expense it? I say yes. I give them money for the thing they bought. So all Damiani's gonna do is get a new mic. So reach out to Mr. Damiani on his patron shows. Reach out to him on Twitter and let him know that you want him to sound better. Remy has a question I'll never get tired of answering. Disneyland or Disney World? Which one is the best and why? It's a loaded question. Best meaning what are you doing in life? You know, it's like what are you going with the family? Are you writing a book? Are you being a historian? You know, are you like casting something? Are you building your own theme park and you want to know the best way to build one? So because I don't know the context for it, I will just say Disneyland. That is always my easiest answer, that Disneyland is better than any single park in anywhere else in the world. And the reason why is it is the only park whilst during operation when people could buy a ticket to a park and visit it and go to the park, Walt Disney actually attended. So, Disneyland. Josh has done his homework. I noticed on the second episode of the Easy A podcast, the title included cunning title, name of podcast, episode number with related thumbnail. However, every episode after that has just followed the minimalistic name of podcast, episode number, Easy Allies thumbnail. I was just curious why that decision was made. Ease of use. Those thumbnails are very easy to make. We can make them way in advance. And we realized that in regards to our new enterprise, we weren't like... Before, when we named stuff for GT Time and when we created thumbnails, it was like, oh, we got to get a lot of downloads with this view. How can we get the views for GT Time up? Hey, so we got to have a name, we got to have a jazzy thumbnail. And with YouTube and with our Patreon page, we got to get that podcast to you to fulfill our promises for Patreon. Outside of that, I don't really care how many downloads the Easy Allies podcast gets. When we got really good numbers and got a lot of great exposure when we first launched. That was fun. But outside of that, doesn't really keep me up at nights. So it can just be a very simple, it's like, there you go. There's the information you need to know if you're interested in watching it. And it's, you know what podcasts are. There's no way to explain in an image what Easy Allies is. So why don't you click on it and give it a listen? But again, rewinding to ease of use, which is also a big factor when you're dealing with just making videos, posting videos week in, week out. Manuel and me both miss Timeline. If you're allowed to talk about it, whatever happened to Timeline from Game Trailers? Timeline is produced by a man named Michael Damiani. Timeline will only ever be produced by a man named Michael Damiani. That was a decision I made as editor-in-chief of Game Trailers. I'm like, we're not going to make any more Timeline stuff if Damiani doesn't work for us. And Damiani works for Easy Allies, and it is up to Michael Damiani if he wants to make an episode of something called Timeline, or a show like that. Filippo tiene una pregunta. Have you ever considered partnering up with someone to add subtitles in various languages to your videos in order to expand your potential audience? That would be a great idea. Yes, That is something that we should do. That is something that people within Easy Allies that are focused on YouTube should try to make happen. I remember that's something, having game trailers reviews in Japanese was always a dream of mine, to find someone that would read the reviews. But then again, how do we know it's right? You got to get a bunch of people involved to make sure it's right. We have a bunch of awesome people in our community that maybe speak other languages that could help us with that. So hopefully you can help out if we ever have that as a mission statement and try to make that happen. Ben is looking for good vibes. What is your favorite part of working on EZA so far? And what are you most proud of? Ben, my favorite part of this is working from home. I work a lot of hours for this thing, but they're all from home, and that's pretty great. And the thing that I'm most proud of, without a doubt, is our success on Patreon. Not to boil it down to dollars and cents, but that is a phenomenal achievement, I think, and that is something that will definitely be indicative of what we're going to be doing in the future with Easy Allies, and ways that we can make our patrons happy, because the support we are getting directly from our patrons is record-breaking, and that is very exciting to be a part of. Michael's looking at the numbers. How much do you guys make off of YouTube hits typically? Is it significant to impact how you guys will be doing shows in the future? And is your growth on YouTube on track for what you guys want? One at a time. Not that much. Not as much as Patreon. Not really. Sure. Yes, we're definitely on track. We definitely like the numbers that we're seeing on YouTube. I think those numbers are going to go up. We will definitely notice. We've definitely noticed when we do something, those numbers go up. And so we want to be doing that again. But at the same time, we don't break out the whips and chains if we get to the end of a week and we're like, we only got, 100 new subscribers on YouTube this week. What are we doing wrong? Because of the support across all of the things that we've been doing has been so great. So YouTube is not that important that it would make or break a decision that we were trying to make. Greg wants more reviews. Have you and the Allies considered doing stripped down reviews for some games? Greg, I gotta be honest with you. I don't think that's gonna happen. We're gonna review something or we're not gonna review something. And if we don't, it'll be a tiny conversation that we do after a podcast or something some week. But we haven't really been doing a lot of those. We're all pretty darn busy. And so I think, those, especially this early on in the Enterprise, those big, fat, juicy reviews are really tantalizing to us. We want to just rip them off the tree and sink our teeth into it. So, full reviews. Orphan Butt Cheeks has a great name. Anyway, do you find redeeming a code for a digital copy of a game kind of satisfying or exciting, like it is when opening a box with a new game and putting the disc into a console for the first time? Orphan Butt Cheeks, definitely. Getting a new game, no matter what, seeing that download bar just kind of slowly trickle across and knowing, like, the entirety of Uncharted 4 is coming to my PlayStation 4 right now, is definitely very exciting. Typing that stuff in. I really like, I gotta admit, I did like the Kinect had like codes that you can just put right up, because that's kind of fun to have a physical object. It'd be nice if like you got a little key or something and you just boop next to the console and then like, the game is happening. Getting a game and not having to pay for it is always magical. It could be in any process. I could have to stand on my head and get coffee poured up my nose, and I would still enjoy it. I'd still be like, I'll take it again. Thank you. More free games, please. Bakryu is feeling neighborly. Do your neighbors know about Easy Allies? If so, what are their reactions seeing EZA members constantly coming over to your house? We should probably be most concerned with the neighbors over here. Neighbors on this side are pretty cool about everything. Neighbors over here just moved in, and I met them and they're cool. They have a kid. They have a good time in their backyard. Actually, lots of people were walking around when they first moved here, so they're the ones all making all the darn noise. And we're only, the group stream, for those of you that are not in California, is from 6 to 8 p.m. So it ends at 8, and then we shoot the podcast. The guys are out of here before 10 p.m., and so it's not that late. We close the doors for the podcast. We're not that loud. So far, no complaints whatsoever, especially during E3. I was nervous that they were going to come over and knock on the door and just like, but never happened. So they're pretty cool so far. Morgan loves opening presents. Was curious if you would do a gift showcase video. Another thought would be for quick promotions of gifts during regular segments like in Cup of Jones. Yes, we are actually working with people to get discounts on things for y'all. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. And I could see us maybe clipping out the segments from our group streams if we ever have a gift segment and you want to watch that separately, but I really like that being part of group streams. Maybe we can take that out of the future if it becomes just too time intensive, and we can maybe shoot that after. Maybe after the group stream's over, we could like go out and then come back and just open presents and do that separately. So yeah, if it takes up too much time, I could see us doing that, but specifically isolating it, it's just fun to have everybody here and have open presents while everybody's in the room. And that's pretty much the only time that happens, that we all get together. Michael is breaking my heart. Do you have any advice to a hopeless romantic who is finding it tough to cope without his soulmate? That's rough. I don't know how rough that is because I don't know you, I don't know her. Make some art. How about that? Make some art. Write about it. Maybe write some poetry. Maybe get a camera, go out and shoot some stuff with a camera. And yeah, go make some art. Express yourself. And maybe you'll learn more about yourself, and maybe you'll just get some of that crummy stuff out of you. Either that or go exercise. Go on a treadmill. Go run on a treadmill for 30 minutes. Brandon got this question in first, even though a lot of people asked it. What was your favorite trailer and announcement this year at E3? Favorite announcement, Resident Evil 7, no question. That was very well done. That was masterful. I think that was a nice little tip of their hat to Konami for what they did with PT and what Kojima did while he was still there. And my favorite trailer would probably be Sea of Thieves. All the other trailers were great. None of them really jumped out at me. I didn't spend a lot of time trying to catch up on trailers that weren't at the press conferences, so my bad. If there was a really awesome CG trailer out there for something that I totally missed, please send it my way. I never stop tiring of watching trailers. I never tire of watching trailers. But yeah, RE7 for announcement, no question. Booge needs not be concerned. Do you guys still make time for Game of Thrones? Yeah, don't worry about it. I think maybe some years I've been a day or two late on episodes, but even though E3 is happening, you got to get your priorities straight. Greg wants to look at our books. Can you go into detail what equipment was purchased with the 40K tier milestone, and what improvements we can see from that in the normal weekly content moving forward? You can see one of those in the tablecloth that has been used for Frame Trap. That was purchased for E3 as a backup in case the desk didn't work. We have those red curtains now, and we have that screen now in the back. So if we possibly go to events, if we do like a meet and greet, we can bring that. If we decide to do a show or we do a special event or something, we want to break that out and set that up. I can do that in half a day and have, boom, it's E3 again. The desk is gone. The desk is tricky because I got to get a truck and go up to this rental house and get the desk and bring it back. But that rental house is great, and they have a lot of other fun things, and they're local here in Los Angeles, so we might be working with them again to get other furniture and fun things for EZA. We got new chairs, which we've used. Those are like our chairs now, so if you notice in the group stream, we don't have like those old rickety wooden chairs. We have brand new chairs. And we got some new things, some new sound equipment, some cables that connected the cameras and set all that stuff up. Some new handheld mics that we used for the shows that you haven't seen since because we haven't gone to an event. But if we go to something like a TGS or a Gamescom and you see somebody holding a microphone in their hands, those were purchased for E3. So off the top of my head, that is the majority of what we spent money on. Ben has felt the dark side. That EA conference was pure garbage. And as a Star Wars fan, do you feel cheated? Cheated is rough. I never want to get angry at developers because, you know, they could have not said anything at all about Star Wars. It's like, that would have been kind of eye-opening. Like, oh, are they not working on stuff? Or they, I guess, just don't want to let us know. But, I mean, there are always games that come and go at the show that we think we're going to see more of. And it doesn't mean, like, that the companies are, like, you know, screwing us. But, like, I think they cheated themselves. I think they could have done even... Obviously, given like the lack of stuff to show, that really we only saw like a clip of one of those games that they were talking about, and a lot of the other things they had already made the announcements of before E3, so that was kind of frustrating. Like even like Galaxy of Heroes, which I was like, oh wow, I actually care about this dumb mobile game they're talking about right now. The thing that they announced started like 5 days earlier. I'm like, I know this. Like, why wouldn't you save that 5 days and then announce it at E3? So they just how they presented. The amount of time that took up, you know, compared to like FIFA banter, like even that FIFA banter sounds like a Star Wars term. That needed more time and needed more attention. It seemed disingenuous. They were talking about being really excited for Star Wars and yet weren't showing really anything outside of something that could have been like shot in a mockumentary, you know, like all of that could have been so staged and likely was. Like no work was actually getting done in any of those videos. Like it was all staged, you know, it was all, at least seemed to me. So I am ranting. I'm gonna move on. Adam is going global. Jones is a surname of Welsh origins. Have you ever traced your family tree? I have. I've been to Wales. I'm also Norwegian. I've been to Norway. Yes, Welsh has a really interesting language. Some of the words are really, really long. They're like 60 letters in one word. Also, Mr. Marcus Beer, aka The Annoyed Gamer, is also Welsh. And I felt a kinship with him because we were both Welsh. Don't speak it, though. Taylor has an old but always relevant question. The E3 coverage has been great. Most enjoyable E3 for me of all time, but I donated on PayPal to you guys, and it was a name I didn't recognize. What is that? That is Emmett Studios. That is my LLC. That's the company I had. That's one of the reasons that Easy Allies happened, because we all got together frantically like, oh no, Game Trailers is closed. What are we doing? Does anybody have a business? And I was like, oh, I do. And like, does anybody have a business account? Like, oh yeah, I do. And like, great, Jones, well, you're in charge of the money. So it was just the easiest way to transition in. I might change that name to Easy Allies LLC. I might incorporate. It costs money, and there's no reason to now. The only downside is whenever that name comes up, people are like, wait a minute, backdoor shady deals. It's a backdoor shady deal with myself. I am the sole proprietor of Emmett Studios LLC. It's me. It's another word for Brandon. Julian is checking the calendar. When can we expect the first retrospective? Julian, the first retrospective we are producing is Deus Ex, and you can expect it the week before the game launches. Keon asks a simple one. Who created the Easy Allies logo? Mr. Ian Hink, right over there. He was sitting at the desk that Mr. Damiani sat at during E3, and he had my laptop that was plugged into the big screen, and he opened up Photoshop, and he made it happen. We all looked at it, and we went, oh, it's beautiful, but I don't know about the red and white. And we tried every single color that exists, and that was the color. Alexander wants more numbers. It is sad to see that after such amazing E3 coverage, your Patreon numbers stay pretty much the same. Is it better than some other metric? There's a lot of metrics across the board, and a lot of things are going up. Patreon is still going up. That dip is going to happen. That's fine. We just had a YouTube dip where I think we lost like 6,000 views. A lot of people lost, across the YouTube because they canceled a lot of accounts. So yeah, I'm not worried about one particular thing. As long as we're even sustaining something, that is amazing. That's incredible. To go into a new month and realize we still exist, this is still going to happen because clearly we have support. We have a lot of support. Don't worry about it. Preston misses the desk already. What happens to the desk? I said earlier, the desk got in a U-Haul truck, and I drove it all the way up to the valley and dropped it off at a rental house that is really fun. It's like the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders. Just, desks and chairs as far as the eye can see. So we might work with them again. We might get a better desk. There'll be a better desk. One thing that I miss from the desk from last year versus this year is we were standing. And that was really great. That No Man's Sky video happened because we were standing, because we were all just kind of flustered and we put the stools aside. It helps with having like your knees under the table, that they weren't blocked. There were a lot of things I'm like, okay, we got to do different with desks this year. And if we have enough time and we know, again, what we can do in this space, and maybe if we have a new space next year, we can do better with the desk and maybe build one from the ground up, which would be really exciting. Maybe we could stream the desk being built. I can't believe I said that because now we totally have to do it. Jared is a careful observation. It must get really hot in there when all the allies and equipment are in full swing. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. Because here's the thing. So I'm shooting this during the day, and you'll notice the sun going down in the background. And there's a fan up there. And so you can't have the fan up top going during the day because it makes this like flickering effect. And you can't have, when we have a lot of things where we have fabric over tables and stuff, so you can't have the fan on because you'll get this like really distracting, ocean wave effect going constantly throughout episodes. And so, it gets a little parched. Dennis has an interesting question. Is constant live feedback from the chat on NeoGAF always a good thing? Not always, Dennis. We actually found that out during E3. All of you are wonderful, and we love that you were on Twitch, and we love that you were chatting, and we never want that conversation to stop. But to get you the best and most focused content that we can, sometimes we need to not look at the conversation. And so I believe during the trial, we didn't look at chat. I think anyone that was on the couch during the trial of Kyle Bossman didn't look at chat, and I think that was effective. So yeah, we discovered that, and that's true, but it doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means we love you a lot, and we think we would be more focused, and we would get you better stuff if we could, put blinders on and focused on the task at hand. Brandon is doing damage control. Now that Mighty Number 9 has finally been released and early reviews have been fairly negative, do you think that this will impact the viability and success of future crowd-funded titles? No. I think people kind of forgot about this game at this point. If that's your opinion, I think that's unfortunate. I think you should reevaluate the situation if you're going to completely get out of the crowdfunding thing just because of one project. everybody's different. Companies are different. If a game is unsuccessful, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, buy games anymore, or you shouldn't buy games that are funded in a particular way. I think that's kind of one-sided, and I don't think that's an example of what not to do. So we at least have that. So anybody that's starting a new Kickstarter thing, if anything, it should renew your happiness in Kickstarter, because obviously anyone would be insane to do a Kickstarter and do it the way that they did Mighty Number 9. The entire project was just a bunch of no's in a row. So should make a documentary about it. We should all watch it, and we should all be smarter for it. Joseph wants the cold hard facts. What kind of cooling solution do you have besides the ceiling fan? So yeah, we just talked about it being a little warm in here. We're actually going to get air conditioning in here, which I don't know how much noise that's going to make. We'll see. You might get used to just kind of having some hum here, but it means the allies are nice and cool, and you might have to deal with a little bit of hum for a little bit of happiness. James is doing a palm grease check. What exactly were you doing with IGN and GameSpot? With GameSpot, I was appearing with Mr. Stuttering Craig, who invited me to do a fun little bit for one of their shows. For their coverage, I believe we kicked off the coverage, I think, like when it started, because we were there right when the show floor opened, and we saw like all the crazy freaks come running in and line up for all the games. And loved their setup there. That was just an invite that I got from Stuttering Craig, who invited me to be on that. And I couldn't help it because I was also on YouTube's coverage, and as you mentioned, I also worked with IGN a little bit, and so I was like, hat trick, nice. I can work with all of the three biggies at E3 and see what their operations are like. IGN, I did two separate things. One, I appeared on Up at Noon, and just on a brief little segment. And I also worked for IGN. I actually did work for them and was paid for it to interview people at IGN and to go around to different booths and interview people that, for a segment called What Is, that focused on things that you might not have heard about, stuff that you maybe saw in the press conferences, but you did, like We Happy Few, stuff like that you need a little bit more information on. And I did all of that because those opportunities presented themselves, and I've done a lot of crazy things for E3. I've never done stuff like that before, and I love doing new things that I've never done before, and I love E3, and so I wanted to take advantage of that, learn from them. I went behind the scenes at GameSpot, saw their operations, saw their war room, went to IGN, saw their war room for the first time, meaning where everyone is, where all the laptops are set up, where all the water is, where all the food is, just kind of like the place you just go and crash and get work done, and where their stage is. With GameSpot, their war room was separate from their stage because their stage was actually like on the show floor. IGN has both because they're completely insane. And it was a lot of fun. And you can go to our forums, actually, and look up all of that information, which I should have done post E3, but one of our allies was kind enough to. So thank you for the question, and go check those out. Chaotic is looking out for the group. How do you stop yourselves from burning out when you're so deep in the rabbit hole of information? It's interesting to use the term burning out, because that's how I feel during E3. My brain feels hot. Like, I feel like I have so much information. My brain is so excited about so many different things and is bouncing around between so many different projects that it's really tough for me to calm down, and it's really tough for me to just do normal things because there's so much going on in my head right now. One of the ways we get through it is talking to each other. It's just finally like getting it off our chests and talking about all the exciting things that we saw, and getting other people's opinions and just kind of settling like, that's how we feel about that game. Okay, one game after another, checking them off the list. So I think that does a good job in kind of deflating our burned out brains as they potentially get more and more hot as E3 goes on. Jonathan is doing a post-E3 hype check. I'm curious, with this being the first major E3 covered without the overbearing constraints of a parent company, has it changed your enjoyment of E3 at all? The thing about overbearing parent companies is they actually really come in handy during something like E3, because then you have somebody that is paid to just go pick up your badges. Then you have somebody that is paid just to go take care of lunch. Then you have somebody, for some E3s we had vans that would drive us back and forth, and we would deliver footage that way. Because one of the big differences between how we did E3 this year and how we've done it in the past is we would do a lot of interviews. So we would have these events, and the faster we could get the footage to people to watch, the more downloads we would get. And so it was always a race to try to get this up on the internet and either upload it with super fast speeds where we could find that downtown, or actually physically get in a car. So that was very different. So we just kind of went and guerrillaed the whole thing, and so it was equally fun, but I think the convenience of having these things to fall back on, these people specifically, having a bigger team, I will miss that. But otherwise, pretty darn fun. J-Man has not one but two good questions. What was the one thing that you would do differently for E3 2017? And what was the thing that 100% needs to stay the same? I really like not covering the show while we're at the show. I think that's going to stay the same. I know we missed the Nintendo Direct, or the Nintendo event that wasn't a Nintendo Direct. We might do that in the future depending on what Nintendo does next year, or depending on what people do on Tuesday or Tuesday morning, or days that aren't Sunday, Monday. What is going to change is the desk and the setup and the camera. So everything visually about what you saw will be much different next year. Bradley is doing a trend check. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about how E3 is changing, whether in good ways or bad. Most likely a bit of both. E3's okay. I was nervous about E3 for a bit there because they were talking about moving it out of Los Angeles. There were rumors that they were just going to not do E3 anymore. Obviously, one must be nervous about EA. That was very different this year. There was kind of this giant, empty space at the back of one of the halls where EA, normally kind of pushes 2K back into, but 2K moved up to the front because EA was outside. But it was still there. It was still a big fun event. There was a giant, Doritos arcade machine that people were rocking out inside of. So there was a lot of glitz and glamour at E3, and that's always what I love about that. Not because I want people to spend ridiculous amounts of money, but I want it to be exciting. I want people that are coming into town from Canada and Japan and the UK and Germany and Australia, and wow, this is pretty cool. This is a big deal. This was really fun. I really enjoyed myself. I liked the opportunities I had to meet people in this industry. I like the people that I met. I like the games that I saw. I like how this event gave me access to those things in a ways that other events don't. And so I'm most excited to see it improve in that way, to just make it easier and more fun for everybody to have a good time. Julian missed Red Dead. How do you feel about the lack of a Red Dead 3 announcement? Do you think the rumors are true? I want to believe the rumors are true, and I was totally fine not getting a Red Dead 3 announcement because I might have had a heart attack live on stream. And, I'm doing Red Dead Revisited. I'm playing through Red Dead Redemption right now, so, take your time, Rockstar. Take your time. Michael observes, your garage could pass as a little house. Michael, when I bought the property, someone was living in here. Intentionally, wasn't a squatter, but somebody was paying rent to live in here. We got a bathroom, we got a fridge. You could easily throw a cot on the floor and live here, no problem. So it is kind of a little house. I mean, it used to be a garage that was transformed into a little house, but that's why I call it the garage, because I live in that house. Ahmad Sammy liked Game Sleuth. I liked the first episode of Game Sleuth, but I noticed in the beginning you were talking about GT without actually saying game trailers or Pop Fiction. What's the reason for that? Being cheeky, I guess. There's nothing legal or backdoor shady deals about that. I think it sounds better. I really want the language in Game Sleuth to be specific to Game Sleuth. So I think I don't want to bring up the name of another show. Let me put it this way: I wanted people that were big fans of Pop Fiction to have a sense of ownership over this new show that we were giving them. They're like, yes, this is more Pop Fiction. It's for me. It's not Pop Fiction, but it is. So I don't really need to say it if you know what I'm talking about. And if people didn't know what I was talking about, maybe it's kind of fun to separate those people, to have new people come in and be like, I understand, what does he mean? And then here's all of you awesome Pop Fiction fans who are like, I know what he meant. And so I guess that was kind of for you. If it's confusing, apologies, but that might be why we did that. We're on the last page of questions. This is questions from 3 previous episodes of Cup of Jones. Thank you all for sticking in through all of these questions, and thank you all for asking them. Here we go. Sven has a decent point. Why take it off? Referring to RE3 stage. It's a decent point, what? Hey, you got a cool set now. Why are you getting rid of it? For a couple reasons. One, it is tough to maintain. It's tough to get back there. I need to get on those shelves. We store stuff in those shelves. We store stuff, under where the sink is and stuff. And it's just a hassle to go around. And it would probably wreck it. One of us would probably trip and rip the thing in the back. So there's that. I want it to be something special, so when we do another event and we break out decorations like that, then you can clearly see us elevating our content. You can, if you look at the year of content that we produce, you can tell the special events by kind of how we dress things up in a special way. And just to be different, to maybe rethink, okay, if we're going to set that back up, how would we set that up better, and not just keep that up the whole time because we can. And we knew the desk wasn't going to be there because that was too expensive. We saved money on the desk by renting it instead of buying a new desk, which we were nervous about because we're like, what if we buy something and then bring it in and it doesn't work? And then we got to take it back and then buy something else. And so now that we have a clear idea of what would work in the space, then maybe we can, the next time we invest on, making the space better, then maybe we can take advantage of the ideas that we learned during E3. But keep in mind, the next time we get an opportunity to cover an event, we might be in a studio. You never know. So always have to keep that in mind, that we have to keep everything packed up and ready to go if we need to move very suddenly to a fancy new studio. Dan is curious, what did you use that garage for before Easy A? Play video games. I mostly play video games in here. When we had parties, I'd hang out in here with other people and play video games. But when we weren't having parties, I would sit in here by myself and I would play video games. Eduardo has a question I love. What is your light dark side party in Galaxy of Heroes, and does Easy A have a guild? Galaxy of Heroes is a Star Wars mobile game that I play a lot of. Yes, we do have a guild. It's called Easy Allies. Message me on Twitter if you are not able to find it, and message me your player name, and this goes for anybody else out there. Message me, you can send me an email, or you can message on Patreon, or you can message me on Twitter, or you can message me on Facebook, and let me know your code for your name in Galaxy of Heroes. But my light side team is Clone Wars Chewbacca, Luminara Unduli, Ethkoth, and a Jawa and a Jedi Consular. Poe Dameron's getting up there. I also have an Ewok and a Clone Sergeant that are getting up there, but that's it for that party. My Empire group, my dark side is Old Daka, Darth Sidious, Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, and Count Dooku. My dark side team's actually coming along. So yeah, Galaxy of Heroes is very fun. There you go. Answer that question. Thanks for asking. Shubham misses the pack. Can we see the return of Pack Attack or something along those lines that involves analysis about the industry? Our podcast is probably the closest you're going to get to that. Certainly Pack will not be back with us because Pack is at Sifted. You can go to sifted.net to see all of the amazing new shows that Mr. Pack is producing. I'm so glad Pack is producing shows because there's nobody like Pack. That's not really what we do. We are not economists. We tend to deal more in emotion. We are emotion brokers, if you will. So if we're going to talk about how a company feels, if an announcement is made, kind of where their heads were at and what they were thinking when they did that, but actual numbers, that's why we have bets, because we're all really dummies about that, and we like making fun of the things we get wrong. Tim is calling me out. A good man once said, I will sneak on another stream later on, guys, and I'll play the other 2 levels on 00 Agent. Tim apparently saw my GoldenEye stream back in the game trailers days and wants me to stream more GoldenEye. Challenge accepted. I'm not going to make promises. It probably won't be soon, but I will mark that I need to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Robert, better win the lottery soon. If I won the lottery and donated $50,000 a month to Easy Allies, would you accept it? Yeah. And you can do that through PayPal, I think. Is there a PayPal limit to how much you can give us? If you want to just throw money at us, you can do that on PayPal. You can go to our Twitch page and you'll see a donate button that should really be in our forums and should be on our website as well. But if you go to twitch.tv/easyallies, you can see the donate button. You can donate to us via PayPal. Lots of people had tremendous donations in the past, lots right before E3, so thank you all for those. Old guy hits home. I'm sorry if I sound sour, but how can you hope convincing people on the next 45k goal if you're not even able to keep your very early and simple promise of 1 cup of Jones a week? Thank you, old guy. Let's end on this question. This is our very final question for this question-heavy episode of Cup of Jones. And this kind of leads into what you can consider a editorial. Let's talk about Cup of Jones. Let's talk about the 45k goal. Let's talk about Brandon Jones working on Easy Allies right now. I was blindsided by everything that happened with E3. So much stuff got pushed back. As I talk to you now, I'm about to cut a review of Zero Time Dilemma, I believe it's called, and Star Ocean 5 coming in from Michael Damiani. These are things I could edit right now, videos I could get to you right now. I have a backlog of things that I'm working on. And so I want to get better at that. We will get back to that in a second, specifically addressing the question, the 45k goal. If we hit 45k, I will reprioritize in a major way what I am working on for this company. Right now, I want to do everything. I want to produce every Cup of Jones myself. I want to cut the community video. I want to cut stuff that we make specifically for our patrons. I want to cut every damn review because the reviews are the best. I would love to help out with other people's shows. I'd love to sit down with Ben Moore and with Mike Huber and show them how to cut Frame Trap and Huber Syndrome. These are things I want to do. These are things I will do if my schedule works out before the end of this year. But it's tough to find time for all of the things that I want to do with Easy Allies. And so if I hit that 45k goal, one of 2 things will happen. One, another ally will go full time. That ally will start editing more, or that ally will start producing things that I produce right now that I enjoy, that will suck to give up and hand over to somebody else, but I will do it because I need to produce this other show. Or we hire another editor. That doesn't mean we bring in another ally. This wouldn't be somebody you would see on Tuesday night group streams. This wouldn't be somebody that you would see all the time and we consider like, hey, ally, what's up? This would just be somebody like, we need some help editing. Some allies have actually let us know that they want to help out. It would probably be somebody we've worked with, professionally before. That's not to say that we wouldn't want to bring in other people creatively to help us with projects in the future that are allies, that are patrons. But it would be that important to me that like, okay, I really want to do this trailer show. Maybe I don't need to cut Cup of Jones. Maybe the community video I would probably hand off entirely to someone else, even though, man, it's so much fun to work on that. And it's fun to hear everybody's comments. Obviously, I would still read the VO, but so that would be a major shift in the production of the show. We talked about Cup of Jones a little bit beforehand, but I want to touch again on the irregularity of what the episodes are like, when they go up, and basically before this episode goes up, if you haven't noticed, I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the language of what Cup of Jones is, and I'm going to take out that it's weekly. That's not going to mean I'm going to kick back and you're never going to get another episode again. It just means I'm going to shoot for weekly, but it might not happen. I'm going to try to get these done on Monday, but it might not happen. You never know what you're going to get with Cup of Jones, but you do know that I am in the process of producing the next episode because I'm thinking about what next editorial I'm going to do. I'm gathering questions from the previous Cup of Jones episodes, and I am gathering information about things that we are doing and things that we have done that you might not know about, and that is going to be the purpose of this show, and I'm going to update you on these things and check in with you when I can and when it makes sense to produce the type of episodes that I want to produce. So I don't want to have the feeling that like, oh, I'm just going to slap one together, which I don't feel that I did before E3. I liked doing one of the stage, of the space before we put the E3 stage in, and I like doing one after so you can kind of get a sense of like what that was like, do a little Jones VR session going through our set. But, I'm kind of running out of those. There's only so many exciting things that I can do in my house. And so I want Cup of Jones to be something that makes sense as an exclusive video for all of you patrons, and is something that, again, I can produce when I feel confident in producing it. So apologies if weekly was really your thing, but I seem to be getting a lot of support from people that are like, take your time, do the things that are most important to you. Again, I get many more requests to see the next episode of Brandon Plays Pokemon versus the next episode of Cup of Jones. And so if I ever have the two like I did this week, and I'm like, what could I produce earlier? I'm going to do Brandon Plays Pokemon. I'm going to do a review. I'm going to work on something else. And then when I get time to relax, and I get a nice day like today where I'm not doing anything but working on Easy Allies content and not streaming anything or going to business meetings or have any other distractions, then that's the time where I can set up the camera all by myself in my garage, pick a spot, and chat with all of you lovely patrons about what's going on in the world of Easy Allies and Brandon Jones. And that's it. That is what's going on in the world of Easy Allies and Brandon Jones, including this amazing mug. Again, thank you, Hesperus84. Thank you all for sending in 4 episodes of questions. The last episode that I did where I read VO, I might have grabbed 1 or 2 questions from that, but I will still apply those questions to the next episode of Cup of Jones, which, if I have the time and I want to be really nice to y'all, I might produce before next week, but you never know. So that's another thing too, is I'm not going to lie to you guys about when you're going to get the next Cup of Jones. I'm going to be very reserved in telling you via Twitter and telling you on streams when to expect those things. Always just know I'm working on it, and I will get back. We have new cups too that I want to show you, so rest assured that sometime in the near future, more coffee will be filled in a new cup, and it will come to you as the Cup of Jones. Thank you all so much for watching, and cheers.